All right, good evening, everybody.
Yay, he made it.
Sorry
Kavod
for the
Karan,
delay.
how are you?
Thank God. Hag
Good.
Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Hag Sameach.
Okay, so we finished the last chapter. We're starting a new one. We're going to do 119.
I'm sorry. We were in the Shulchan Aruch and Braha number 11, the restoration of justice. But in the Bet Yosef, we made into Braha number 15, which is the Davidic
So we
reign.
didn't finish it.
No,
Let me see.
meaning the Shulchan Aruch, not until Braha number 15, which is the
No, but
Davidic.
that was it. That was the end of the Shulchan Aruch. There was nothing else there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're done with that. I just remembered. It doesn't go through the whole thing, the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so it says, Shesh Esrei Shema Kolenu, right? 16th blessing is Shema Kolenu. Hear our voices, right? In other words, Hashem will hear our prayers. So it says they put it in after the restoration of the Davidic dynasty. It says because once he comes, the Mashiach, and the prayers will be accepted, right? So he says this verse proves that they're juxtaposed together. And then he says, right, also that a person who has personal needs, right? So that's where he inserts it, right? In this blessing, Shomea Tfilah. Because this includes all the requests. So it's also in every blessing like that. You can ask whatever the topic of the blessing is. Right? For instance, if somebody's sick, you can ask in Rafainu, and when it comes to parnasa, sustenance, right, income, whatever, you can do that in Birkat Hashanim. Also, the individual says Anenu there when it's fast days, Be'om Tanit, so the laws of the fast, we're going to see that when it comes to the middle ones, the middle blessings, that they don't have really like a order, right? We'll see what that means. So what does that mean? You made a mistake with the three first blessings. She's got to go back to the beginning. Then Tzayot, if he made a mistake with the middle ones, he goes back to Atachonen. The last ones, he goes back to Ratzeh. Rabbi Yassi Amar, but Rabbi Yassi says, he doesn't agree with that. So he says the middle ones don't really have an order. So he says the halacha is like him. Right, so what does that mean? So says Rashi, if he skipped one blessing, then he remembered, right, that blessing that he missed it. Once he got to Ratzeh, he remembered. He can say it right there where he remembers it. According to this, he says, if the Chazan, forgot to say Anenu, and then he remembers, he just says it right there, wherever he remembered. Or somebody who forgot to ask in the blessing of years, or let's say somebody who made a mistake with the 10 days, right? 10 days of penitence. Then he sealed it like this, and then he remembered afterwards, he just says it like that blessing, wherever he remembers it. That's one opinion, right? Rashbam says no, you got to say everything in the right order. That the rabbis made. Because as we said, right, these are all juxtaposed in the verses. So there's a purpose behind them, to put them the way they are. So it says what it means is, when we say it has no order, it means that if he skipped one of them or made a mistake, he doesn't have to go back to Atachonen, right, like the first ones. So what's the rule? The rule is, wherever you made the mistake, when it comes to the middle blessings, you go over there, you return, right? And the Rosh, to the beginning, I'm sorry, you shouldn't go back to the beginning, right? That's what we're saying. 1 second, I skipped that, yeah. You don't have to go back to the beginning. Rather, you go back to that one you made a mistake with. Right? Or you skipped it. And then he goes on the water right from there. We mentioned that yesterday, right? Somebody already asked that question. So according to this, he says, Shliach Tzibur sheshachach anenu, the Shliach Tzibur that forgot anenu. Lo yachazor, he shouldn't go back. She'im haya chozer, because if he would go back, tzarich lomar anenu, you would have to say anenu, ve'achar kach refeinu, and then refeinu. The whole aseder zeh, right, all this order, again, he would have to go back, repeat the order from there. So this is impossible. Why? Dim can have a bracha lebatala, because there will be a blessing in vain. Why is that? Because we don't go back for anenu, right? That's the rule. So once you missed it, you missed it. That's it. So somebody who forgot to ask in the blessing of the years, and he's and he remembers, he goes back to the blessing of the years. Whoever, right, made a mistake and he said, the king who loves judgment, he said that in 10 days of penitence. He goes back to Hashiva Shoftenu, which is that blessing. Dechen piresh ri. Also, the ri explains like that. Dechen ikar. So, Bet Yosef paskins like this opinion, right? Like we mentioned yesterday. This is the way we paskin. Okay, this is not Bet Yosef. I'm sorry. This is the Tur. But anyway, right? I think that's halacha anyway. It doesn't really matter. So we'll see the Bet Yosef here. We're done with the Tur. Okay. Pretty much covered the whole idea here. So let's see the Bet Yosef. It says there, when it comes to Aleph, right? Right, we said the 16th bracha Shema Kolenu. Regarding that, the Bet Yosef brings the source for that, which is also Megillah Yudchet. And then he says, you ask your request there. Where is that? Per Kama di Avodah Zarah. It's in the first parak of Avodah Zarah, Chet Amud Aleph. And then V'chen b'chol bracha u'bracha yachol lishol minyana. And as we said, right, each blessing you can ask the topic of the blessing, something request there if you have. Where is that? Gam Zeh Sham, it's also there. Katav Kol Zeh Arif, and Rif writes this, the Perek En Omdim. In this Perek, Katav Sham Rabbeinu Yonah, says Rabbeinu Yonah there, Inyan Zeh mitchalek le'arba dinim chalukim. So he says this has 4 different elements, right? This halacha. One is that when it comes to Shomei Tefillah, Yachol Yishol Kol Tzarachav, you can ask any of his needs there. Bechol Inyan sheyitzeh, right, whatever he wants, Shebirkat Shomei Tefillah, because that Shomei Tefillah kolet kol tzachim includes all the requests. So that's what it was made for. So he says the second din, he comes to say at the end of any blessing, something in that topic, he wants to ask something, request something, Omer, he can do that. Even if he doesn't, it's not for his needs. Mamash, not really for his needs, mutar, it's allowed. Since he says it, in a plural language, but he says when you say it with individual language, personal language, right? Asur leomro, it's not allowed to do that. Since he's not saying it for the whole Jewish people. So it's considered like an interruption. So he says he's able to say it, as we said, in a plural language, in the public. At the end of each blessing, because once he already finished whatever the rabbis decreed to say, as an obligation. So there we're not concerned anymore, you're adding something new there. But it says in the middle of the blessing, so there it seems like you're adding something new, right? Because you haven't finished yet the format of the blessing itself, the way the sages made it. Because if you're asking your real needs, for instance, you're asking about a sick person. He has somebody in his house, right, who's ill. God forbid, when he should be healed. That he can say in individual language. Even in the middle of the blessing. That's what we said. Now, over there, if he has a sick person in his house, so he should say it in the blessing of the healing. So he doesn't mention here at the end of it. He only answers he says the blessing of the sick. Stam Kamar, he says just regular. Doesn't mention the particular place. The mashma that implies that even you can even do in the middle of the blessing. You can still ask for your needs. Because since he needs it. Right, temporarily. And he can do that also in individual language, as we said. This way, when he says it individually, it doesn't look like he's adding something new to the blessing, right? Just a temporary need that he has. So that's all right. So he's going through a whole gamut here. I don't think we paskin like everything he says here, Rabbeinu Yonah, but it's pretty close, more or less. We'll see in the Shulchan Aruch. Hadin haravi, right? So he says the fourth halacha is like this: Shebasofat tefillah, at the end of the prayers, ben kodem yulatzon, whether it's before yulatzon, ben achar yulatzon, or after, yachol le'arich ve'lomar kitzon. He can say whatever he wants to. He can add whatever he feels like. Ben belashon yachid, ben belashon, I mean, whether it's right individual or public, the plural. Ben tzaracha bamash, ben tzarachet tzibur, whether it's his needs or the needs of the community. That's the end of Rabbeinu Yonah. And so he said, it seems like he learned this. But Yosef is now commenting on this. In the first parak of Avodah Amar Rabbi Amar Shmuel. It says over there, right? Rabbi said name Shmuel. Shmuel Adam Tzaracha. The person can ask his needs. B'shomei Tefillah and Shomei Tefillah. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. It says Rabbi Yehuda, Berei de Rabbi Shmuel, the son of this rabbi. Bar Shirat Mishmei de Rab, name of Rab. By the way, you notice here that, when we read these passages, right, from the Talmud and, from Poskim, they're always mentioning the name of the rabbi who said the lesson. You notice that?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that? Why do we need to know which rabbi said what? Let's just say that, somebody said it, I don't know, whatever. What's the purpose of mentioning the name of the rabbi? So the Gemara says, right, the purpose is that when you mention the source of your lesson, it brings redemption to the world, right? It brings Geulah to the world. So in other words, Hashem wants us to give credit to the rabbi who said whatever he said. We should give credit to them, because they deserve it. Because, after all, Judaism is a, religion of tradition, So for us, the tradition is the most important thing. So when we mention the name of the rabbi who said it, we're continuing the tradition. That's the whole idea. So, it's always good if you learn something from some rabbi, mention his name. It says you bring the redemption to the world by doing that. Okay, good to know. There's always, talk in America about plagiarism, like people steal material from other people. They don't mention their name and they just steal it. So that's also when you don't mention the name of the rabbi, it's like plagiarism in a sense. Like actually, you think you said it, it's like your Torah. It's not exactly your Torah, somebody else said that. You're just repeating it over. So, that avoids that problem of plagiarism also, what I mean? That's the reason why we do it that way.
And what if the person cannot remember the name of the rabbi, but remembers where the Masechet, where he got it from?
If you don't remember, it's okay, but if you do remember, it's always good to say, the source of where you got it.
Okay.
As a general rule, that's always good. I saw it in this book, I saw this rabbi, whatever, This way, people know. That's why when when you notice, right, when I post my posts, I always write the sources.
Yes.
Always the sources there. Because that's the way it should be. What? Otherwise, people are going to think, oh, gee, Danielov is such a big rabbi. He says these big things. I didn't say those things. The big rabbi said these things. Who am I to, take credit for these things? It's pretty ridiculous. Honestly, I'll tell you something really funny. Recently, there was a guy who was like my friend on Facebook. and he has like a Jewish name. I don't even know if he's Jewish. I'm not really sure. He might be like a Noahide or something. God knows what he is. I don't know what he is. But he looks Jewish. He dresses Jewish, whatever. So I noticed that he started like copying my posts and not giving me credit. Like omitting my name. It's like, but that's my Torah. Like that's my Torah. Like I'm the one who formulated that halakha. So I told him, I said, why do you do that? Like, why do you copy my posts and not put my name? You omit my name. So I said, it's not proper to do that. If you want to bring redemption to the world, make sure you put my name there because it's not your Torah, it's my Torah. So he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Rabbi." So then he started to write my name afterwards. I convinced him to do it. It's not because I'm going on some kind of ego trip, but it's not really proper to do that. Like he posts like Torah halachic posts that I write, and he doesn't say my name. In the past, that's what he was doing, and like it implies that he paskin that halakha. You know what I mean? But that's not from him. So like that's the wrong way to approach it. And there are also maybe other rabbis who don't agree with me. So if he writes it, in his name, I don't know, it comes out really weird. Like whose opinion is this? Like who's saying this thing? So you get the idea, right? You're following me what I'm saying. Okay. So
Yes.
now he writes my name on the bottom of the post, or whatever, So at least he writes it somewhere, whatever. I'm happy with that. I don't care if he writes it on top or on the bottom, wherever he writes it, as long as he gives me credit, because I'm the one who made this halakha. You know what I mean? I'm the one who answered. So, you shouldn't write it anonymously. It's not proper to do that. Okay,
Just
whatever.
hit the repost button,
I'm sorry.
Repost, like when you're trying to, that your name and your photos there and the halakha, versus just copy and paste. No, is that what?
Yeah, he was just he omitted my name altogether. You know what I mean? Like he was just copying and pasting. So I told him to stop doing that. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, most people, they just like they just like repost it, and then my name automatically gets there. But this guy likes to, he likes to dub out some things, put some Yiddish words there, all kinds of stuff. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Whatever. I don't mind what that I don't mind, but as long as you have to know where this halakha came from. It didn't come from the sky.
So if he
from some
doesn't
rabbi,
bring redemption,
exactly, that's the whole thing, But also when it comes to halakha, the thing is, when you don't give the source, like this guy's posting, he's not a rabbi, like who told you this halakha? You know what I mean? Like who taught you this thing? So that's the problem,
If he's not bringing redemption to the world, what is he bringing then?
Yeah, well, he agreed with me. I mean, he stopped doing it. So Baruch Hashem, I'm happy. Whatever. We're all happy. We're all happy campers. So yeah, I mean, what can I do? It is what it is. People don't know these things, especially if he's not Jewish. He definitely doesn't know. I mean, these people don't know these things. I don't know what people, So you got to teach people. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt and teach them. Don't just fly off and get angry. There's no reason to do that. People don't know. We're here to teach people. We're not here to put people down. And give them the third degree. You don't have to do that. There's no reason. So anyway, right? That's the thing. So that's what you see, right? When we learn the Talmud and the Poskim, we always see that they're giving you the names. The names are there. And the truth is, I must tell you, because since I'm the Talmud of the Rabbi, Maran, so I must tell you, most of the sources that I have, I got from him. I learned from him, you know what I mean? So that's why you always see on my posts, I'm quoting his name. You know what I mean? Because, if it wasn't for him, God knows what we would be, taxi drivers or, golf caddies, I don't know what we would be, you know what I mean? So, I have to admit to you right now, most of my Torah comes from, my sources comes from him. You know what I mean? When you see that I bring a lot of sources. By the way, there's a rule about that too. The rule is, it says in the Talmud, something interesting, that when it comes to a talmid of a rabbi, right, he's a disciple of this rabbi. But he doesn't have to bring his rabbi's name when he says it. You know why? Because people will assume that it came from him, because he's his disciple. But I do it anyway, in general, I usually put his name, from the sources. Because, he's the source of everything, everything that we know today, pretty much in Torah, comes from him. Like pretty much, I'll tell you, honestly, we're learning Bet Yosef, right? From Maran Bet Yosef until Maran Ravadia, there was nobody like Maran. From Maran to Maran, there was nobody like Maran. So Bet Yosef is our source, when it comes to, you see, right? He teaches us the Talmud, the Rishonim, the earlier authorities, And then from there, once Maran passed away, then the rabbi took over from there, brings all the other sources. The next 500 years, so that's pretty much how it gets divided up, so whatever, There was also other big rabbis as well, but, the rabbi pretty much, he gathered together that 500 years of information, the Torah that came after Maran Bet Yosef, and he pulled it together. Nobody was able to do that besides him, This is an incredible feat. So, what can I tell you? I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I'm just a piece of dust in the air. Well, I don't know what, I'm not nothing compared to these big powerful people, Okay, it's interesting, whatever, anyway, right? So that's the way it goes. So anyway, getting back to our topic, right? So he goes on to explain the Talmud, right? How Rabbeinu Yonah got his source over here. אבל אם בא לומר בסוף כל ברכה וברכה, מעין כל ברכה וברכה, אומר, אומר. So if he wants to say, right, something at the end of every blessing, which is the topic of the blessing, you can do so. Amar Rab Chia bar Asher, and this rabbi says, Amar Rab, even though they said, right, that a person can ask his needs in Shomei Tefillah, אם צריך יש לו חולה בתוך ביתו, he has a sick person in his house, אומר בברכת חולים, he says in the blessing of the sick, ואם צריך לפרנסה, if he needs פרנסה, אומר בברכת שנים, he says in the blessing of the years, אמר רבי יהושע בן לוי, right, it says רבי יהושע בן לוי, אף על פי שאמרו שואל אדם צרכיו, even they said, right, that a person asks his needs, ושומע תפילה, אם בא לומר אחר תפילתו, כסדר יום הכיפורים, he wants to say, right, the whole Yom Kippur prayers over there, to make a short story long, right? He can do that too. He can do that too. Even though it implies that the saying of this rabbi, and also this rabbi, they're pretty much coming to teach you the same thing. So it seems like redundant, two rabbis teaching you the same thing. What do I need that for? The Rashi also seems like from Rashi. Rabbeinu Yonah nireh shezover, but Rabbeinu seems like he holds the mikol memra shamina miuta dechadata. We learn something else from each lesson. Rav Yehuda bered Rav Shmuel bar Shilat Amar. This rabbi that said im ba lomar besof kol baracha, men kol baracha. If he wants to say right at the end of each blessing, the same topic, baracha omer, you can do that. That's talking about when you're talking about the asking for the public needs. So therefore, he only allows it at the end of each blessing, but not in the middle. Not in the middle of blessing. It shouldn't seem like he's adding to what the rabbis, decreed. That's what he wrote, the second din. In the middle of the blessing, you can't say in public language there. Now what she said at the end of the blessing, you can't do it in individual language. That's his own opinion, right? Rabbeinu Yonah. That he kind of conjured up on his own. Because it doesn't say that in the Talmud. Now what Rabbi Chia bar Asher said, if he has a sick person in his household, you can say the blessing of the sick. That's talking about when you're praying for yourself. Right? In other words, for your household, whatever. So it implies that he can say it wherever he wants. Wherever it's in the middle of the end. That's the third din. That which his rabbi said. אם בא לומר אחד תפילתו, לאחר תפילתו, כסדר יום כיפור, if you want to say after prayers, like Yom Kippur, Omer, you can do that too. מבואר שהוא הדין הרביעי, that's the fourth thing, right, according to this. והוא דאמר רב יהודה, that's what Rabbi Yehuda said, אמר שמואל, שואל אדם צרכיו ושומע תפילה. He can ask his prayers, ask his requests and שומע תפילה. משמע דאפילו במתפלל על צורכי רבים. That's even he's praying for the community. באמצע ברכה, אני לא יודע blessing my, it's talking about even that. מהי במתפלל על צורכי יחיד. That which he plays for the individual, יהיה שומע תפילה. מה יהיה שומע תפילה? בשאר ברכות נמי הרי. You can do also the other blessings. Why only שומע תפילה? הרי אמרו, אם יש לו חולה בתוך ביתו, because they said, if they has a sick person in his household, אומרה בברכת חולים, he says in the blessing of the sick, ואיבה אומר בלשון רבים, and if he's saying in the language of the public, right, only if he says it like that, אלא שצריך שלא יאמר אלא בסוף הברכה, he says it only in the end of the blessing. מה יהיה שומע תפילה? Then why do you need שומע תפילה? אפילו שאר ברכות, also other blessings, נמי שהרי אמרו, because they said, אם בא לומר בסוף כל ברכה וברכה, if you come to say at the end of each blessing, man כל ברכה, the same topic, ברכה, אומר, you can do that. לפני כך, הוא מפרש, so therefore he says, he explains, ושומע תפילה שואל צרכיו, and שומע תפילה, you can ask your needs, בכל עניין, in any case you want, she would say, whichever way you want, אפילו בלשון רבים, even in public, ובאמצע ברכות, in the middle of the bracha, I'm sorry, that bracha, שזהו הדין הראשון, that's the first din, ואף על פי שיש לדחות ולומר, even though you can push out and say, שומע תפילה שווה לשאר ברכות, שומע תפילה is equal to the other blessings, ועניין שאינו שואל בלשון רבים, you shouldn't ask for the public, באמצע ברכה, in the middle of the blessing, ואין ביניהם אלא בשומע תפילה, so they only argue, כאן שומע תפילה, שואל כל צרכיו, can ask all his needs, מאיזה מין שיהיה, whatever he may want to ask there, right, any topic, ובשאר ברכות, but the other blessings, אינו שואל בכל אחד, אלא בין אותה ברכה. You can only do the same topic as the blessing. לא משמע לרבנו יונה, so רבנו יונה doesn't understand it that way, לפושי אחי, right, since he concluded, ואמר שואל, אדם צרכיו בשומע תפילה, since he concluded and said, the person can ask his needs, and שומע תפילה, ולא חילק בין שואל באמצע ברכה, he didn't differentiate between asking the middle of the blessing, the שואל בסופה, or at the end, ובין שואל צורכי על עצמו, or whether it's his own needs, השואל לכל צורכי, or is asking for public needs, כמו שמחלק בשאר ברכות, like he differentiates in other blessings, משמע דבשומע תפילה שואל כל צרכיו, so implies that in שומע תפילה, you can ask any of his needs, בכל עניין, she would say, whichever thing he wants, אפילו באמצע הברכה, even in the middle of the blessing, בלשון רבים, in a public language, right, plural. אם תאמר הרי אנו נוהגים ביום התענית להאריך בתחנונים, so he says, if you're going to ask me, like when it comes to fast days, we elongate and say all kinds of supplications, בלשון רבים, in public language, באמצע ברכה, ברכת סלח לנו, in the middle of the סלח לנו, the forgiving of the blessing of forgiving, וזהו הפך מה שכתב רבנו יונה, that's like the opposite of רבנו יונה, בדין השני, in the second din, יש לומר דציבור שני, so he says maybe, when it comes to community, it's different, they're allowed to do it. מידי דהבה אהד אמינם, it's like similar to what they say in ברכות, לעמוד א', לא ישאל אדם צרכיו בשלוש ראשונות. The person shouldn't ask his needs in the first three blessings, ולא בשלוש האחרונות, also not the end of the last three, but ציבור נהגו לומר קרובץ, but when it comes to the community, they do קרובץ, right, which the Ashkenazim do today, we don't do it. כמו שנתבהר בסימן ק"י ב', like it says, and we already mentioned this in 118, וכן כתבו תוספות פרק כמה די עבודה זרה. They also, תוספות wrote this. Okay, let me just see how long this goes. Okay, I guess we'll do the rest tomorrow, Bezat Hashem. So, yeah, sorry for the lateness again. Baruch Hashem, at least we got to learn something. Be blessed with all health, happiness, Chag Sameach. Hashem should give you all the blessings and be joyous and holy. Chazak u'baruch.
Thank you so much.
Chag Sameach, Rabbi.
Thank you.